and welcome to my channel. My name is Anya and in this video I'm going to attempt to dupe the Colourpop Nude Mood palette. You're currently in the living room. Sorry if the sound is a bit echoey. I didn't want to clean my room to film this, so I just brought everything out into the living room instead. And this is my current single shadow palette. It's an Adapt palette. So I have it split mainly neutrals on this side, colourful shadows on this side. I have a lot of shadows missing from this side and some miscellaneous ones down here. The colours missing here, the greens and the pinky purples and stuff, are in the palettes that is in my Shop My Stash at the moment. So they're going to go back in here once this month is done. But I put the Colourpop Nude Mood palette on my sort of potentially would have purchased for last month because it is neutrals. I love neutrals and I especially love warm neutrals. So I 100% know that if my collection of makeup was smaller, I would have bought that in a heartbeat and I would have loved it. But since I already have a lot of eyeshadow that I feel like I can dupe the palette with, I'm going to attempt to try and do that instead of adding another thing into my collection. It is also I know by ear, so I'm not allowed to buy it. I'm going to be working mainly from this side here, and I'm not 100% certain that I will be able to like fully dupe the palette. I'm going to start off by duping the vibes, and essentially picking out the colours that I have that are similar to the ones that are on the Colourpop website. I'm going to be working mainly off of the picture from that palette on their website. And then in the end, I'm going to see how I stand and where I stand, and I might swap it out. I have this little Colourpop palette here. It's a bit dirty. This is what usually holds my Cosmetics shadows. They're currently residing in the corner over there because I'm going to put everything into this palette once we get there. I'm kind of excited for this. I haven't actually sat down and duped a palette before, so I think this might be fun. I'm gonna zoom you in a bit. I hope that is fine. We're not gonna get the entire palette in shot at a time here, but looking at the palette, the first row for me is this fairly simple one to dupe. It has one cream colour that is matte, one that is essentially the same shade but in shimmer, and then it has one shadow that is a little bit deeper in a sort of neutrally tone. So this is my little corner of cream shadows. I just now realised I forgot to bring my little makeup spatula, so I'm going to try not to dig my nails into this. I have two mattes. I have this one from Colourpop. This is in Full Zip. I'm just going to put them to the side here for a bit. And then I have this one, which is a depotted NYX shadow. I'm going to put them both out for now, and I'm going to decide which one I like the best. And for the shimmery version of this, in the palette it is actually a Super Shock shadow. And I know I have a Super Shock shadow that is similar, but I want to just use this palette for now. So I'm going to bring out this colour, and I did just dig my nail into that, that's fine. This is a depotted BH Cosmetics shadow from the ShaaanXO palette. I'm also going to bring out this colour, which is a Colourpop one in Ringer, and this one looks a bit deeper, but it swatches a lot lighter than it is. So I'm just going to pick out colours first, and I'm going to narrow it down later. I'm actually going to zoom you out because you are a bit too close here. And yes, I can't really decide how I want this to look. That transition shade for me is either going to be this colour, which is a depotted NYX shadow, or it's going to be this one, which is a depotted shadow from BH Cosmetics from the Zodiac palette. The next row, which is the middle row, is sort of where my kind of colours come into play. I'm not looking at any swatches, I'm looking at the first picture on the website. So there's a warm, what I call a mid-tone brown, that looks to be kind of yellow in undertone, maybe a little bit neutral. The middle shade is a shimmery. In the pan, it looks like it's kind of a bronzy colour, but I've seen the swatches and it swatches more like a copper. And then the right shade is a much warmer brown with more of that reddy orange undertone. I have a lot of the reddy orange undertone browns. It's my favourite colour to wear. The middle shade brown, I'm thinking this one. It is perhaps a touch warmer than the one in the palette. This is Top Notch from Colourpop. I'm going to put that there for now. I'm not sure I have anything else that would sort of come into play for this one. The middle shade, looking at it, it looks a lot like that colour right there. I'm going to bring this out. This is Paper Crane from Colourpop, but I think in actuality it is lighter than this and a bit more sort of bright copper. I am going to bring out this one, which is going to look a little bit weird. This is a JD Glow Galaxy Shadow. It is obviously very orange. I'm not sure I'm going to actually go with something that is that orange. This one is the Sydney Grace Shadow in Aztec Ruins. It's also a really lovely copper. I'm going to put those three in that for that middle shade at the moment. They don't really look all that much like that colour, but we're going to work with it. And the right shade is, I have this shade over here because it was in the palette that I had in my Shop My Stash. It's a Depotted BH Cosmetics Shadow. It is one I use a lot in my eyebrows, and it is very red, which is what I love. But I'm not sure if this is going to fit into this shade or if it's going to come into a later shade. I am going to bring out this colour, which is Martian from Colourpop. Crisscross I think is too red. I'm going to put that back. But I have this one, which is BH Cosmetics Shadow, that I think might do that. I'm going to take that away. And then the bottom row, the bottom left is sort of what looks like a really rich chocolatey brown. I don't really have that shade in here, or at least not that rich. I think this might actually be the closest I have in a shimmer formula. I'm going to bring out this one, which is the Depotted BH Cosmetics Shadow from the Zodiac palette. I don't really think I have anything else that is that colour, not in a shimmery form at least. The middle shade is where I think this would fit in. It is a very red brown, and then the right one is a very deep one, and I have this one in the corner here which is very, very deep. It looks almost purpley grey, but it swatches as a very brown, reddy brown, very dark, but I think it's going to be a bit too dark. I'm going to bring out this shade, which is a BH Cosmetics one. And yes, the camera is opposite me, so I'm sorry if it looks a bit weird. I am going to bring it out and swatch it though. It's a Roundhouse from Colourpop. I think that looks kind of similar. Let's close this up and chat about them up close. For the cream shades here, the NYX one is a touch less yellow, and the Colourpop one is what I call a full like cream colour. Not sure how well any of these colours are going to show up on my skin because they are my skin tone. That's the joy of being pale. I am going to choose the Colourpop one, so I'm going to put this NYX one aside just because I have a bit more experience with the Colourpop eyeshadow formulation than I do the Depotted NYX ones, and I know this is a very lovely colour, but I'm not sure this is actually going to stay in the palette after I've sort of duped it and worked it out, because I don't reach for that kind of colour a lot. For these shimmery shades, let's just move everything else a bit out of the way. These all look very similar. They look a little bit washed out on my camera. I hope they do show up. That is the BH Cosmetics one. This is the lighter of the Colourpop. And then I have the one that doesn't necessarily look like it would fit, but I know from experience that it is a very lovely light tone. And it is very reflective, which is why I like it. Now, if I were to go by the swatches, compared to the one on the website, there you can sort of see they have different levels of base colour intensity. So both of the Colourpop ones have a little bit of depth to them. They have a lot of shine, so that depth isn't very noticeable on the eyes. The BH Cosmetics is a lot lighter. It doesn't have that same depth of colour. If I were to go purely by what I can see on the website, I would go with the BH Cosmetics one, but I want something that is a bit more shiny, so I'm going to go with the middle shade here, which is Ringer from Colourpop, and I'm going to put the other two aside. This middle brown is a colour that I very much enjoy wearing. It is what I think a lot of people will call a transition shade. I don't really use transition shades because transition shades for a lot of skin tones are darker than mine are literally what I wear in the crease. I can wear these in the crease when I want something a bit more natural. But they have a really lovely undertone, which is why I like them. This one, which is the NYX shadow, is a little bit more almost rosy. They're not going to show up that well. So I hope you can see the light is a little bit weird. It's a bit brighter on this side of the screen here, but that's how they look. They are both really soft and easy to use. I really kind of want to have both of them in here, but they do a very similar thing. I'm going to choose the BH because it has the more neutral, slightly yellow undertone. The next one just looks a little bit more, and it's very faint. I'm not sure the camera's going to pick it up, but I can see it in real life. It's a touch more pink, and this palette is kind of the opposite of that. So I'm going to go with the BH colour. So the top row is light and it looks kind of exactly as I thought it would. The middle row, I'm starting to think this is going to be too dark. This looks, in the swatches, a lot more like those ones look, and I mean they are almost the exact same colour, but I don't... Let me just quickly open here. I was a bit worried. Yeah, I do actually have a shade I'm going to try. This is Sidetracked from Colourpop. It is a touch darker than the one I just swatched. I don't have anything else, so if it's not that one, it's going to have to be one of those ones. But I think this is going to work. The difference between this one though and the one they have, this has a lot of glitter in it. It is a matte, but with like glittery particles. So it behaves and wears like a matte, but it is glittery. Not my favourite, but it has its place and I can definitely use it. I am going to have to put it in. I'm going to leave it here because it's the closest I have. It's a little bit peachier than I would have liked, perhaps. But looking at the swatches, it looks very similar. It's just mine has glitter in it. And I'm not totally opposed to this. I know one of their shades is matte with glitter in it from how they describe it, but I don't really like those kinds of shades. I prefer either it has to be matte or it can be super shimmery. I like that. I'm also super into glitter. Now the put on hairs, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, airs. I kind of want to say it with the H not in there. The swatch of this look very different to the pan shot. Which is why these three look nothing alike. So I have this one is the one that looks the closest to how it looks in the pan. This is Colourpop Paper Crane. In actuality, I think this is actually going to be this shade that also goes into the bottom row. It is an absolutely stunning colour. It has that coppery, orangey goodness, but it is a bit deeper than the swatch. This one I think is going to be the lightest copper that I have that isn't orange. This looks very orange here, but you saw the palette. I have one that is a lot more orange. It's definitely closer. I think theirs has a touch more gold in it. And this is JD Glow Galaxy Shadow in Bestie. This is amazing and so glittery and gorgeous. I really hope my camera is going to do this colour justice because it's just stunning. If I were to follow, I mean, weirdly enough, looking at the swatches, they look like three completely different tones of copper. You have this one which is a lot more brown, then you have the one that looks straight up yellow in comparison, and then you have this one which is much more orange, but it has a lot of that yellowy, reflecty, golden goodness. I am gonna have a check in the palette for my other coppers. I know I have a Super Shock shadow that would absolutely fit into this, no questions asked. It's Kathleen Lights. it looks very similar. I think Kathleen Lights is just a touch more copper than theirs, a little bit less goldy. I have this one, which is Salt Water, which I didn't pick because in my head this is almost, yeah, I mean it's peach. In my head this is a peach, it's not really copper. I'm gonna go with the JD Glow, the Galaxy shade, because I mean I would wear all of them, and I think I'm fairly certain that this paper crane, I'm gonna move this down into one of the shadows I'm gonna swatch for the next shade, or the next row, line, whatever it is. And I think although Aztec Ruin, sorry, from Sydney Grace, which is this gorgeous yellowy goldy copper, is gorgeous and I will absolutely wear it and I love it, I think Bestie from JD Glow just fits a little bit and has a little bit more of that orangey depth that I really like. None of them are exact matches, but I'm working with what I have, and I think that one is going to win this round. I haven't said the names of any of the shades in the palette because I'm more so looking at the colours of them, but Mugged Off is the next shade if you haven't been able to follow, and it's a really gorgeous orangey brown, and I think these might be too dark. I have more shades. I have Crisscross and Popular Demand. I'm gonna set them here because they might fit in a little bit better than these. I think one of these might fit, and I think two of them might be too dark. That's the thing, I have a lot of these shades that look identical, but if you actually look at them very closely, there is a slight difference. Let's see. Top Notch is a really gorgeous brown, and then I have Martian, which is another one of those matte shades with glitter in them. And then this is a depotted BH Cosmetics shade. I mean, you can tell the tone difference on my fingers. You can see that Martian is definitely a lot more reddy orange, and this one has almost got like I don't know, I feel like this is more neutral, that's definitely red, this leans a little bit purpley almost. Let's see, and I'm swatching these messily on purpose because it's the easiest way to properly show off the tones of these. I mean, they do blend gorgeously. I actually ended up with a colour that was a lot closer than I expected. That looks almost dead on. I think the one they have, it looks like it has a bit of sheen to it, so I think it's a glitter shadow. But this is too red. Martian is too red, and it's too light to fit into the category with this one. And I think this, even though it's pretty, is a little pink. It's a bit too pink for this, so I'm going to put that to the side. I am going to swatch the two that I brought out, so Popular Demand, and I mean I can tell that Crisscross is going to be too light and too red. Popular Demand is just a bit too dark, so that's Crisscross, that's Popular Demand. Popular Demand, it's too dark, and Crisscross, although absolutely stunning, is a bit too red and again too light to fit into that one. So I'm just gonna plop them back. I'm gonna have to rearrange my palette after this because it looks messy, but that's what it is. But that was actually a lot closer than I expected. So I have 3 more shades to figure out. Lap of Luxe is one I don't think I have. It's this really gorgeous, what I call a chocolatey brown. Like, I'm gonna bring in board shorts. I didn't bring it out because it looks a bit lighter. So I brought out board shorts, and I also have this one, which is a depotted BH Cosmetics from the ShaaanXO palette. And these, I honestly do think the Colourpop one that I swatched a second ago in Paper Crane is going to be the winner here. This BH shadow, the small pan, is I think too red. Let's just swatch them. So I have board shorts, Paper Crane, the BH colour, and another BH colour. You can kind of see on my finger here, I definitely know this is going to be too red. I think the other BH shadow here it's a pretty colour, but I think it's a little bit too cool toned. But let's just swatch them first. I mean, that BH one, this one is from the Zodiac palette. The shimmers are absolutely stunning. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Paper Crane. It's just the closest. It's the sort of goldeny brown, yummy colour. I really like it. I think Board Shorts is closer, but not quite. In my swatch, it weirdly enough looks a little bit closer to the colour that Janie Glow colour has taken on. Just a lot less copper and a bit more brown. But yeah, Paper Crane won that battle, but oh my god, look at the shine on that BH shadow. So I've got 2 more spaces to decide on here. I have this because to me this is my reddest of my browns. I'm going to swatch it on my other hand because my other hand is still wet. It's a BH Cosmetics ShaaanXO Palette that I depotted from that colour. It is very pretty. I mean, I use this a lot. It's nowhere near as red as the Cocoa, which is the shade I'm supposedly duping here. This is a lot lighter, but I feel like it has this undertone. It has this really, I'm not sure how well that's going to pick up, really reddy orange undertone that I really like. And I honestly do think it's the closest. I mean, I had some of the other Colourpop shadows, Martian and Crisscross. They were very red, but they don't have the depth that this shadow has. And this bottom row is the darkest of the rows, even though they look identical. Those two look so similar. Just to give you an idea, they are similar, very much so. But again, the Top Notch, it doesn't have the same depth. And then I have these two, which are the darkest in the palette. It's called Moody. It looks like a very dark brown. I'm going to start swatching this BH Cosmetics colour because I think this might be my choice. It's a lot purplier than it looks. But looking at their swatch, their brown is very deep and rich, but it looks like it has a tiny hint of purple. It's definitely not as purple as this one. This is a lot purpler than I realised. Let's swatch it against this one. This one is a nearly black colour. I honestly think that's too dark. It's too dark, it's too black. It doesn't have the warmth. Out of these two, this is the closest one. This is Roundhouse from Colourpop because it's too red, too reddy purple. Even though that colour is gorgeous, it's just not entirely right. I have got this, which is another BH shadow. It is the lighter one from the one that is very purple. I think this might end up being, yeah, that's gonna be my pick. It is very similar depth-wise to the BH shadow, but it has a little bit more brown in it. I don't really know how to explain it. You can probably see the difference. It's a bit lighter, but I honestly think Roundhouse is too dark. It just ends up looking grey black. So I am gonna plop that in. So I don't think I have a shade that is darker. So these are my selected 9. I'm gonna swatch them on my arm now so that you can hopefully see all the colours. This colour you're not going to be able to see. It's not really going to show up. You can try layering it a lot. You can kind of see a little bit there. But it's extremely close to my skin tone. This was Full Zip from Colourpop. This next shade here is Colourpop Ringer. It is that shimmery champagne. I'm not sure I'm going to actually have space on my arm for all of these swatches, but we're going to try. Next up is the BH Zodiac colour. I don't know which one it is. I will leave that in the description box below. And that is the top row. It is similar-ish. I feel like this shade is a touch darker, my shade, than theirs. But I think that's about as close as I'm going to get it. I've shimmied my arm a little bit further up here. This is Sidetracked from Colourpop. One swatch next to each other. It almost looks like they could have maybe swapped places, but I'm going to keep them where they are. This is a JD Glow Galaxy Shadow in Bestie. I really hope you can pick up just how glittery and gorgeous that is. This is Colourpop Top Notch. And these are the first 6 shades. So here is the first 3 up here. And then these are the second 3. Let's hope I can fit everything in here. This is Colourpop Paper Crane. This is depotted from the BH ShaaanXO Palette. And this is depotted from the BH Zodiac palette. That last swatch wasn't perhaps the best. I'm going to zoom out a tiny bit so you can maybe see all of them. So these are all of the shades. That is the first one, that's that one. This glossy swatch is this one. That is that one, and then we have the second part, or row, column. I'm not really sure what's what. I think that's the row, that's the column, I could be wrong. That is this shade. This coppery gorgeousness is the large pan in the middle, and this on the edge here is that one. And then I did find a really nice rich chocolatey brown. This is that reddy brown. And then this is the darkest shade in the palette. It's a bit pinker than what I would have liked, but it's nice. Let's put them into this little palette. I mean, it does not look as neat in here as it did lying flat on the table, but that's the first 3. This, and that makes up the second one, and then that, and that makes up the final one. This does not look very neat. I think I'm going to rearrange it a little bit. Let's put them like this instead, because I have a bit more room going this way than I have the other way. It might still not perfectly fit, but it's going to be a little bit closer. Yeah, much better. Like that. So very non-symmetrical. But that's my £9 duped Colourpop palette. I mean, it's not as satisfying to look at. It's much messier. It's obviously not symmetrical. But I couldn't fit this in and I don't have any other empty palettes that I can use at the moment. So this is just going to be how it looks. I'm pretty pleased with this, and even though, I mean, those two shades and that one are very, very similar, and I could take one of them out and get the same results, I'm going to leave it as this for now, and I'm pretty pleased with this. I'm going to be playing around with this for a little while, but thank you so much for watching this video, and I will hopefully see you again soon. Bye!